Sometimes it's not that we don't know what to do, it's that we're just tired. Tired of trying, tired of hoping, tired of showing up and not seeing any progress. But what if I told you that being there for yourself, especially when nothing seems to be working, is one of the most powerful forms of healing you will ever experience? Because anyone can show up when life looks good, but it takes something deeper, something sacred to keep showing up when you don't feel ready. And that's what today's conversation is about. How to keep showing up for yourself when it feels like everything is standing against you. Not the fluffy version, the real human version. The one where you're struggling, doubting, maybe even falling apart inside, but you still decide to be there for you. I'm not sharing this because it sounds nice. I'm sharing this because I've lived it. There were days when I didn't feel like getting up, days when I didn't see results, when I kept pouring into things that looked empty. And honestly, there are still moments like that. But I've learned something. The moment you stop abandoning yourself is the moment your healing starts to become real. So let's talk about what that really means. Let's talk about how to stay when your first instinct is to run. How to rebuild trust with yourself even after you've let yourself down 100 times. Because this is what being there for yourself actually looks like. In practice, not theory. First, let's redefine what being there for yourself even means. Most people think it's just about self-care. Resting, journaling, going offline. Those things help, yes, but they are surface level. True self-presence isn't just about comfort, it's about commitment. It's about deciding that no matter what happens, failure, disappointment, delay, you will not turn your back on you. That's what it means to be there for yourself. To stand beside your own mess and say, I'm not leaving. We'll figure this out together. And that's harder than it sounds, because the truth is, we've all learned how to show up for others, but very few of us ever learned how to show up for ourselves. You see, when you've been hurt, when life has disappointed you over and over again, your brain starts protecting you through something called self-sabotage. Self-sabotage means doing things that quietly work against your own progress, not because you hate yourself, but because you're trying to protect yourself from pain. It looks like procrastination, like saying, I'll start tomorrow, like rejecting opportunities because deep down, you don't believe you deserve them. That's not laziness, that's fear wearing a disguise. And until you learn how to be there for yourself through that fear, you keep repeating the same patterns, just in different seasons of life. So the first step isn't to do more, it's to notice more. To start noticing when you're shrinking, when you're abandoning yourself again. And instead of judging it, ask, what am I trying to protect myself from right now? Because once you understand what you're running from, you finally have a chance to stop running. Alright, let's talk about what being there for yourself actually looks like in practice, because it's one thing to talk about it and it's another thing to live it when you're tired, uncertain, and unmotivated. So let's go through this step by step, not as rules, but as reminders. Reminders that pull you back to yourself when your mind tries to run away. Let's start with the first one. Make a small promise to yourself. I'm not talking about big goals, massive routines, or life-changing habits. I'm talking about one tiny thing, something you can do even on your worst day. Maybe it's writing one line in your journal. Maybe it's drinking water before you scroll your phone, or simply taking one deep breath before you react. These are not small because they are easy. They are powerful because they are consistent. When you keep a tiny promise to yourself, even just one, you start rebuilding self-trust. And self-trust is what makes discipline feel peaceful instead of painful. It's your way of telling yourself, I can count on me again. That's how you begin to rewire your brain. One small, sacred micro commitment at a time. The second thing, show up imperfectly. This one is hard because most of us were raised to believe that if it's not perfect, it's not worth it. But perfection is not the goal here. Presence is. Showing up imperfectly means doing your best even when your best looks different every day. Some days, your best will look like progress. Other days, your best will look like breathing through the moment. And both count, both matter. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for everything to align. Sometimes you have to move while it's still hot. Because when you keep showing up through your imperfection, your consistency becomes your healing, and slowly you start to realize that the version of you who keeps trying is already more powerful than the version who once gave up. Now, this is the part where things start to shift. I want you to learn to listen to your resistance. That part of you that says, I don't want to, I can't, what's the point? Most people fight their resistance, but resistance is not the enemy, it's the signal. It's a signal that something deeper inside you needs attention. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's shame, maybe it's exhaustion disguised as laziness. The next time resistance shows up, instead of pushing it away, say, okay, I hear you. What do you need right now? Sometimes what you need is rest. Sometimes it's courage. Sometimes it's permission to do it badly and keep going. That's how you stop fighting yourself and start partnering with yourself. The fourth thing, redefine what progress means to you. Progress isn't always visible. It's not always measurable. Sometimes progress is the day you didn't give up on yourself. The day you felt like crying but still chose to try again. The day you finally said no to something that drained you. That's growth too. It's internal. It's quiet. But it's what builds the foundation for everything that follows. When you start measuring your growth by how deeply you've learned to stay with yourself, that's when you stop chasing results and start embodying them. And finally, keep showing up, even when no one claps, even when no one notices, even when you feel invincible. Because that's the point where most people quit, right before the shift happens. Every time you stay committed through silence, you're proving something to yourself, that your worth was never tied to being seen. Keep watering the seed even when the soil looks dry. Because one day, you wake up and realize what looked like nothing happening was everything growing underneath. So yes, being there for yourself will not always look pretty. It will not always feel powerful, but it will always be worth it. And every time you keep your promise to yourself, every time you show up, tired, messy, unsure, you're teaching your heart that it's safe with you again. That's where your healing begins. Not in perfection, but in presence. Not in noise, but in quiet self-loyalty. And that is the kind of power no one can take away from you. You know, sometimes it's not that we don't know what to do. It's that we get stuck in the why bother season. That season where nothing seems to be working. You pray, you try, you plan, and still, silence. And at some point, your mind starts whispering, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm just meant to stay stuck. But listen, that silence doesn't always mean failure. Sometimes it's the in-between, the space where life is rearranging things you can't see yet. Because sometimes, self-sabotage doesn't come as destruction. It comes as delay. It comes as overthinking, procrastination, perfectionism, or even playing small so you won't be disappointed. Self-sabotage is when you subconsciously start protecting yourself from pain, but in doing that, you're also protecting yourself from progress. It's when fear of failure becomes stronger than the desire to grow. And it's when you've built an identity around struggle, and the moment peace tries to enter, it feels uncomfortable. You start sabotaging the good because chaos feels familiar. Let's start with this one. I'll do it later. That one line has stolen more dreams than failure ever could. Because later is a comfortable lie. It tricks you into feeling safe, but it's really a soft delay. Every time you say, I'll do it later, what you're really saying is, I don't trust myself to handle this now. And if you repeat that long enough, your brain starts to believe it. So how do you fix it? You make your now smaller. You stop trying to do everything. You focus on doing one small, low-pressure thing right now, not later. Because progress loves tiny beginnings. Every big thing you've ever admired started with a single now. Sometimes we sabotage ourselves because deep down, we've convinced ourselves we don't deserve good things. Maybe because of your past, maybe because every time something good happened, it ended badly. So now, your brain assumes good things don't last. But that belief becomes a trap because when love comes, you question it. When opportunity comes, you shrink. When joy comes, you wait for something to go wrong. So you end up rejecting what's trying to heal you. Listen, healing means letting yourself receive again. You can't attract peace while holding on to the belief that you're unworthy of it. You have to remind yourself, I'm allowed to experience toughness. I'm allowed to start over without guilt. I'm allowed to win quietly. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. Let's be honest. Sometimes it's not even fear, it's exhaustion. You've been trying and trying and trying, and it feels like you're standing still. But hear me. Growth doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes growth looks like not quitting. And maybe you're not lazy. Maybe you're just tired of carrying it all alone. So instead of forcing yourself, nurture yourself. Rest without guilt. Heal without rushing. Because you can't pour from a cracked cup, and you can't keep pushing from a place of depletion. You are allowed to pause without giving up. You are allowed to rest without losing momentum. Comparison. It's one of the most silent forms of self-sabotage. You start measuring your chapter 3 by someone else's chapter 30. And before you realize it, you're no longer building from peace. You're building from pressure. You lose sight of your own lane because you're too busy watching theirs. But here's something I want you to remember. Someone else's success is not your delay. It's just proof that it's possible. The more you compare, the more you disconnect from your own rhythm. And when you disconnect from your rhythm, you start forcing timing instead of trusting process. So slow down. Unfollow anyone who keeps you in a constant state of lack. Reconnect with what you're building, even if it's still small. Let me say this clearly. That voice that says, maybe I'm not meant for more, is not intuition. It's wounded memory. It's the part of you that once tried and got hurt. It's not your truth. It's your protection mechanism. And the way you heal that voice isn't by fighting it. It's by proving it wrong gently. Every time you show up again, even when it whispers, why bother? You're teaching that voice that you can hold both fear and faith at the same time. And that right there is what becoming emotionally mature feels like. Not fearless, but balanced. Every time you catch yourself saying, I'll do it later, or I don't deserve this, or I'm tired, or why is her life moving faster than mine? Remember this: you're not failing, you're just being invited to choose yourself again. That's what being there for yourself really means. It's choosing to believe that something beautiful can still grow here, in this season, with what you have, with who you are, and even with what's left of you. You know, sometimes I wonder how many versions of me I've had to bury just to survive. The one that believed she could do anything, the one that used to dream big, the one that thought life would be easier by now. Have had to let them go, not because they were wrong, but because growth demanded it. Because healing sometimes means leaving behind who you once were. But the thing is, life will keep giving you chances to come back home to yourself. Not the version that's trying to please everyone, not the one that's always scared of being too much or not enough, but the one that still believes in you, even after everything. The one that still wakes up even when she doesn't want to. The one that still tries even when she's tired. The one that still hopes even when she's scared. That version of you, that's your real power. Look at yourself for a moment. Really look. You've been through so much and you're still here. You've fallen, you've cried, disappeared, started again. And yet, somehow, you're still here. That's not weakness, that's strength. The quiet kind, the real kind, the kind that doesn't shout, it just keeps showing up. Maybe you don't give yourself enough credit for that, because survival in itself is sacred work. Maybe it's time to redefine what progress means to you. Maybe progress isn't achieving everything right now. Maybe progress is learning to rest without guilt. Maybe it's saying no without explaining yourself. Maybe it's allowing yourself not to have it all together and still believing that you're going somewhere. Because healing isn't linear, growth isn't loud. Some days, progress will sound like silence, and that's okay. You're not behind, you're rebuilding. So, if today is one of those days where you feel like giving up, I want you to remember this. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to stay. Stay kind to yourself. Stay patient with your progress. Stay open to the ideas that things can still work out for you. Because the version of you that's coming, she's going to need you present to meet her. And maybe that's what being there for yourself really means. It's not about perfection, it's about permission. Permission to be human. Permission to breathe. Permission to rebuild slowly. So breathe. Unclench your jaw. Soften your shoulders. And whisper to yourself, I'm still becoming. I'm still learning. I'm still allowed to start again. This is Sambo's Tribe, a space for healing, becoming, and coming home to yourself. I'll see you soon.